participants to help him try to figure out what they should do under mayoral control in the city. And so it was this late night, I think we had it at like 11 o'clock at night, and all these people were sitting around this table, and I remember walking away from that thinking, those people are never going to be able to fix that system. And then the next day, Victor came up to me and said, so we're looking for a superintendent, how about you? And I said to him, absolutely not. I have been working in urban education for 16 years now, and what I can say is that being an urban superintendent is the worst job in the country, and I would never do it. But there was something that happened at the conference that inspired me. And then not too long after that, at the next New Schools conference that I went to, was actually hosted here in DC. I had only been in the job for a short time, and I said sort of come in, snuck in, and there was a panel going on with a number of our colleagues, including Randi Weingarten, who is now the president of the AFT. And I remember she was saying this stuff that I thought was totally wrong, so I had to raise my hand. And then we started what people now refer to as the celebrity death match between she and I, in the back of the room and on the stage, which set a very nice foundation for 2 years' worth of really fun negotiations, but actually that have gotten us to the point where we now have a contract that is ready to go out to the rank and file. What I believe are the three perennial issues in collective bargaining agreements in public education across the country: lockstep pay, seniority, and tenure. And I really do believe that a lot of the discussion, a lot of why we were able to get to where we got was because of the discussion that was started here at the New Schools Conference. And this is a little known fact, but many years before that, I actually saw for the first time, I saw my now fiance at a NewSchools Venture Fund conference. And I remember I watched him, he was speaking, and I elbowed Kaya Henderson at the time, and I was like, you should marry him. So I was thinking about it this morning, that was also at a NewSchools conference. So very, very important get together. Let me say this. I know that the work that you do every day can be extraordinarily frustrating. You get beat up, you get pushed around, you get told to do things that you know are not the right things to do by superintendents like me, by school boards, by unions, by funders. I mean, it really doing the hard work of being on the ground, pushing education reform every day is incredibly difficult work, and trying to figure out how are we going to truly close the achievement gap, not just at a classroom level or a school level, but in a sustainable and scalable way. There is no more difficult or no more important work that you could be doing. And I know that you get beat up and bruised every day doing that work, and that in that process of that, it can become sort of easy to start to think about, okay, let's lessen, let's pull back, let's make this a little bit easier. And so my message to you is to forge ahead aggressively, because that is the way that things get done. And I can tell you that, sort of compromising or being, wanting to avoid being called crazy and that sort of thing is not the way to really affect education reform in the nation. I can tell you that, from Mike Feinberg and Dave Levin to people like Chris Barbick, John Schnur, Howard Fuller, Jeffrey Canada, I bet those people cannot count the number of times that they've been called crazy over the course of their work. But it is really the most important work that's being done anywhere in any sector, I think, in the nation. And so you have to persevere, and you have to, as we say here in DC, when we were sort of discussing in a senior management team meeting one day, we were trying to decide what way we were going to go on something, and there was sort of the way that was going to be difficult to sort of manage, and then there was going to be sort of the easier way, and we were going back and forth. And finally, after lots and lots of conversation, I looked at my press secretary at the time, who actually is not in education. She's like, you know what?